5 things I absolutely hate hearing in the horse world. Starting off strong with one that makes my blood boil. My horse loves their job. I'm so glad they told you that. This is just something people say that, makes you feel good. And it kind of just makes it seem okay to push your horse to the limits and make them work harder and longer. And that also allows you to start labeling your horse's bad behavior, their communication, as things like being excited and anxious to work. The normal behaviors you see in performance horses, whether it's English or Western disciplines, they are usually always uptight and nervous and anxious and stressed. But all of these stress signals that the horses are communicating, suddenly it's okay to write them off as the horse is excited to do their job. The horse loves their job. It's just not a natural horse behavior to love working. A horse just doesn't sit around in their stall or in their pen all day going, dang, I wish I could go do some jumps right now, or wish I could go turn some barrels right now, or I wish I could go to a rodeo right now and get kicked around by a cowboy. That just sounds like so much fun. That's just not something a horse thinks about. The reason they do their job is because we've trained them to, and we've used forceful training methods to get them to do those things. Otherwise they get punished, so they don't really have a choice. They're gonna do their job whether they like it or not. And if they misbehave or do things like buck or rear or whatever, it's just because they're excited because they love their job. So yeah, that's why it makes my blood boil. Number 2, I've been doing this an X amount of years and I've never had a problem. And then they go on to talk about all of these things that they have to do and their horse does that are major red flags. For example, I always break my horses in at 2 years old and I've never had a problem. And then they go on to talk about how their horse needs weekly injections to keep them sound and how their horse displays behavioral problems that sound a lot like underlying mechanical issues. Another example, I've been riding my horse in the same saddle for how many years and I've never had a problem. And then they go on to talk about how their horse hates being mounted and their horse hates being cinched and how their horse bucks them off and refuses jumps. Oh, and suddenly they become lame or turn up with kissing spine or some other chronic issue. It's just so funny to me that people can have these massive issues that smack them in the face, but they refuse to find the cause and they'll just label it as unlucky or the horse's genetics or something that you can't control because, well, it could have been something I did. Just because you've done something for a long period of time and your horse didn't die directly from that cause, or maybe you just didn't associate it with that cause, doesn't mean that it's okay to do, or it's something that everybody should do. A lot of times we've been doing things for a long period of time that have been causing a big issue that we just didn't understand or we didn't see, and we'll probably figure it out sooner or later, but we shouldn't promote things just because we haven't had a bad result. You should only promote things if you get good results. If you've been doing something for a long period of time and you've always just had okay results, everything is just okay, that's not good enough for me. It's okay to admit to fault. It's great to have growth. It's great to make mistakes so you can learn from those things and so that other people can learn from those things. It's not okay to claim that you never make faults and to say that everybody should do what you're doing because you haven't seen a problem yet. Number 3 makes my skin curl. If they didn't like it, they wouldn't do it. So, what goes on in the average training pen? Are we just convincing horses that they want to be ridden? Or are we forcing them to cooperate with us? What does it look like when a horse doesn't want to do something? They do exactly what it looks like in the training pen. They buck and rear and bolt and bite and fall over, break through the fence. Do they get away with that? Does that mean they don't have to do their job anymore? Does that mean they can go home and they said we didn't have to keep working because I showed them that I didn't want to? So, no, you gotta show them that you're the boss, and you gotta show them that they have to do this thing, and you gotta show them that they can't get away with that. Now, people like to use the argument that they are a 1,000+ pound animal, that we can't possibly force a 1,000-pound animal around. We do it all of the time. All of the time. Most of the time, when people are interacting with horses, we're forcing them to do things. People are great at forcing big animals around. It's amazing what inflicting pain can do. A lot of trainers will teach, make the wrong thing hard and the right thing easy, which a lot of people will then take as, make the wrong thing painful, make the right thing less painful. Horses are very comfort-seeking animals. They don't like pain. They'll do whatever they can to get away from pain. So if your method of training a horse is inflicting pain on them to do whatever it is you want them to do, they're gonna do what you want instead of actually doing what they want. So saying that they wouldn't do it if they didn't want to is BS, because if they didn't want to do it, they might try sometimes, but they'll have pain inflicted upon them all of the time. It's a whole cowboy thing to not let the horse get away with it. You can't let the horse get away with it. If the horse gets away with it, you gotta beat him up. If a horse is blunt and honest with you and kicks at you because they want you to get away from them, what are we gonna do? We're gonna pick up a whip and we're gonna start whipping them. Because how dare you tell us that you don't want to do something? So yeah, horses always, all of the time, do things that they don't want to do because people are very persuasive with pain. Number 4 is just so ironic that I had to put it after number 3 just so that you guys can hear how stupid it sounds. You can't let the horse win. Win what? I thought they loved their job. And I thought that if they didn't want to do it, they wouldn't. So what are they winning? What is there to win? Is this a battle? Are we fighting? Are we going to face off? What are we doing? What are we winning here? But you hear it all of the time. If the horse does something that we have labeled as naughty and we don't get the last word in, oh, then they won. Then they've learned that they can do that, and they've learned that they can now conquer the world because they kicked at us and we didn't do anything. We always have to get the last word in, and we always have to show the horse who is boss, and we have to tell them that they can't say no, and we have to show them that if they do something that we don't like, we're gonna beat them up, or we're gonna make them work to death, and we're gonna, who knows what we're gonna do next. And then you go to catch your horse in the pasture and you're pissed when you can't catch them because they hate you. Oh, but at least we won that fight yesterday. The horse was so close to winning, but no, I showed him who was boss. If horse training is a fight to you, if horse training is this ego war that you have to prove to the horse that you are bigger, tougher, stronger than them, then I think we need to reevaluate why we are doing what we're doing. Horse training, just like any other type of training, whether you're training a dog or a kid or even an adult to do something, it's a respectful conversation, not a war, not a fight, not anybody is winning. There's no intentional disrespect going on. It's all communication. So no, there's no battle to even win. Don't let people convince you that you have to beat up your horse. And number 5, ponies are the devil. As we all know by now, I hate labels. I hate stereotyping horses. So labeling all ponies as the devil, it really bothers me. Obviously, a lot of people say it as a joke, but underlying hints of truth. If you get a pony, expect it to be a brat, expect it to, do all kinds of nasty things or whatever. But here's the thing, ponies are very oftenly misused and mistreated because they're small. They're easy to manhandle. We don't think we have to train them as well as other horses. We don't take the precautions that we take with larger horses. More often than not, their tack is extremely ill-fitting just because people don't find it important to fit ponies. Their saddles are usually way too big on them. Their bridles are usually way too big on them. So that alone is going to be inflicting a lot of pain on the pony. Plus, they always have to carry a lot more weight than their body is built for because adults think they have to ride the ponies to break them in for kids. So a lot of times ponies end up having to bear a lot more weight than their body is made for. So they're usually always dealing with chronic pain and issues just right there. Plus, their feet aren't usually treated quite right because they grow a little bit differently than normal horses, but they are still treated like normal horse hooves. So they end up growing a lot of distortions and things in their hooves. And it's really common for ponies to turn up lame with hoof issues because their hooves are just not cared for properly. And again, their training is kind of just overlooked because they're small and able to be manhandled. So we don't really train them properly. So all of these things pile up on most ponies, which when you don't feel good, when you're in pain, when you aren't trained properly, you don't act right. You don't act nice. You are usually pissed off at the people that are constantly inflicting that pain on you. So yeah, you aren't going to be a super pleasant animal to be around because we made them that way. So we piss animals off and we make them mad, and then we label them as such. Demons, devils, whatever. It's really maddening. We create the problem and then we mock it when it's there. And I think that ponies are a little bit more communicative than normal horses because they have to be in the pasture in order to, be able to move the other horses around and stuff. They have to be louder about their body language. They do a little bit more kicking and they squealing and things. Like, they have to be a little bit louder with their intentions because they're small. And so they have to be louder with their communications towards people too, but we just see it as bad behavior. And I just wanted to mention briefly that one of the hoof care professionals that I follow recently got a pony, and within the first couple of posts of her talking about her new pony, she said the term shitland will not be accepted around here, because obviously people were already coming in the comments and joking about her shitland. You know, a Shetland, but people call it shitland because they think it's funny, because ponies are the devil, they're little pieces of shit. But I just really appreciated the fact that she was getting a pony because she just really loved the pony, and she was not going to tolerate people labeling it with rude names. Obviously, I think more people should be standing up for horses and not accepting such poor thoughts towards them. You know, if you can't train a pony, then just say that. You don't have to label it just because you don't know how to train it. But that's it for today's video, guys. I should probably stop focusing on the things that make my blood boil because it's probably not good for my health. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big like and subscribe. You can go follow me on Instagram and TikTok at sport.pony13, and I'll see you guys next week Sunday. Bye!